Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel of terror and horror. Today, we bring you a series of the creepiest and scariest stories that will send shivers down your spine. If you're a brave fan of horror content, get ready for a dark journey into the unknown, as we'll confront you with fears from your worst nightmares today. But before we embark on this chilling adventure, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to make sure you won't miss a single story. Warning, this video is so terrifying that it might keep you awake at night, so watch it at your own risk. Are you ready? There was a time when I heard nothing. Nothing. Not the croaking of tree frogs screaming over and over again. The rustling of leaves scratched at the street as they escaped from one lawn to the other. Not even the screech of some far-off car running from something or trying to make its way home after some night shift. None of it. Nothing. Only the quiet dead movement of blistering hot summer air. I remember I lay in bed atop the covers, sweating and turning from side to side to find a position that worked. When Tracy was still in the house, it was easier to find a position. There had been a particular order of understanding. She had my side of the bed, left, and her side, right, like with everything else about her, always right. But now that Tracy lived with Martin over on Maple Avenue, just across from the elementary school and not too far from what would be the new Piggly Wiggly, I was left to try and find a position in bed that worked. I moved over and took her side. It seemed right. She took everything else from me. Could take her side of the bed. I punched the pillow a few times to soften it and then tried to get the last 3 hours of sleep in before I had to get up and shower and get Tammy ready for school. T was my week with her, and we were still working through it, just being me and her every other week in alternating holidays. We were working through it all. It was hard enough telling a 6-year-old about why Daddy still lived in their old house while Mommy lived over on Maple Avenue with the mustache jerk who used to prepare our taxes. Much less trying to get up at 6 to ensure her backpack was filled with all the right books and peanut oil-free snacks. But I was just about there. I could feel the sleep. My eyes stayed closed, and my breathing was getting thicker and heavier every minute. I was being dragged down into the black hole that is sleep when suddenly it began. Soft at first, like a rustling of far-off porch chimes. Almost soothing, but not clean like a piano. Instead, there was a specific broken static, like a radio playing underwater from a car pushed into a lake. The louder it got, the more I got pulled out from the hole that was sleeping. I still lay in bed with my eyes closed, but was awake. I turned my head a bit to make the sound louder. And it was louder. The more piercing and closer it got, the more familiar it became. No longer the ringing of some distant chimes or a far-off radio. T was familiar. Something I knew. I started to follow along and hum the tune in my head. Da-da-da-da-da. I knew the song. The more I listened, the more I understood. It was the old song from the neighborhood ice cream truck. From when I was little. Mr. something. I searched my memory as I lay in bed. Mr. Frosty. That was it. Our Frosty. Only that was not it. T was spelled Mr., not just Mr. More formal. Mr. Frosty. That was it. He had the significant whipped flip of white hair made of vanilla soft serve sticking from his cone head. With the little red bow tie. Laying in bed years away from those moments, I could still pull up the image of the old truck with the plastic model of him on the passenger side that stayed lit even in the afternoon light. Da-da-da-da-da. I could still see the truck inching down the street like some Pied Piper, drawing every neighborhood child from the safety of their TV sets to run around the house scurrying for fistfuls of change. And then, when the truck stopped, we would be nothing more than a gaggle of screaming voices. Ice cream beetle maniacs. The man inside, who we never knew the name of and who looked nothing like the big plastic head with the whipped flip of white hair on the sign, would point to one child over another for no reason and take their order. As he said with his chocolate-stained white gloves, you would hurry to place your order without messing up and hand over your fistful of change as he delivered whatever you ordered. A single dip or double dip or vanilla and chocolate twist. He twisted, that was the best. Da-da-da-da-da. The sound was so loud now that I knew it must be over on Cedar Mill or maybe Edgemont Avenue, just a block away from our street. I opened my eyes and looked at the clock. 3:33. That had to be wrong. What the hell was an ice cream truck doing out at this time of the night? Sat up in bed and listened again to the tune. Hoot, there was no mistaking it. Da-da-da-da-da. It was Mr. Friggin' Softy. There was no doubt. I pulled back the covers, walked to the bedroom's edge, and looked out the window. The street was blanketed in darkness. 6 doors down, a lone post light from Poe's house shed an edge of pissy yellow to the blackness, but not enough to light our area. I could hear the sound of the truck as it grew closer, making what must have been the turn from Edgemont onto our street. I pushed my head against the screen to see if it was the truck. And sure enough, there it was. I was sitting in the darkness just down the street by the corner. An old white box truck with dark blue trim that looked more gray and black from where I was standing. The music played loud, like it was a Friday afternoon and school was out. And yet, no house lights are turned on. Oh, door opened with a robe-wearing curious neighbor. The truck stood still in the blackness, but I could make out the glow of the Mr. Frosty sign. It is a white heap of hair that was yellowed from age, but still recognizable. His truck did not move. I just stood at the end of the street, inside my vision, and then slowly began moving. T traveled at no more than 2 miles per hour, if even. I was inching along down the street. Like a dare. Its music tingled in the night as it passed directly in front of my house. And then the truck stopped. I was just stopped. For whatever reason, that made me pull back hard from my screen. I was shocked. I stood in the bedroom in the safety of the darkness of the screen and looked at the truck just outside of my house. I looked around at the other places, but no lights came on. No one stepped outside on their porch. One peered from behind a curtain. Just nothing. Everything stayed still. And then the music stopped. That pushed me back again with the same feeling of electric shock. All that was left was the still summer heat. When I heard it, I started to lean again to get a better look. He listened to the sound of my bottom screen door opening and slamming against the wood. The outer door knocks knock knock against the main entrance. I pulled as fast as I could to the window and looked down. Even in the darkness, I could see her. T was Tammy, running in her nightshirt, with her fist curled up with what must have been changing from a drawer. She was running down our walk to the truck. I was frozen in disbelief, and before I could yell out, the door to the truck opened, and I saw a gloved hand motion her inside. He did not hesitate. He just went in. I screamed from the window, but she never turned around. I ran from the bedroom down the stairs, taking them 2 and 3 at a time until I fell upon the bottom landing. I ran to the front door and onto the street, but the truck was already turning the corner. I ran as fast as I could and started screaming. I ran around the corner and caught sight of the truck, 100 yards in front and gaining speed, disappearing into the summer night. It's not the same anymore. I never is, they say, and after all of this time. Tracy and Martin and the police and the neighbors and the questions, I still live here. An ice cream truck? They each asked me at one time or another during the investigation if it were something I would make up. Yes, a Mr. Frosty truck. I heard how it sounded. I understood. I got it. I understood when they brought the dog team and started digging in my garden and backyard. I even offered to help search the nearby woods, but the police said it was better. I just stayed away. I understood it all. Especially now that I have become the weird man with the messy hair and the dark rings under his eyes. The 4 packs a day habit of sitting on the porch. I'm waiting for what little money I still have left to run out. Waiting for it all to run out. I am waiting every night for the sound.